This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook, and I have a dynamic duo of restoration. The CEO of 9/11 Restoration, Miri Offir, is here with me. Welcome to the Playbook.
Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And I have my co-host in crime, the incredible Average Joe, who I love, who brings us to a level of understanding of what it's like to be an entrepreneur in the restoration space, the CEO himself of Rocket Plan Technologies. Joe, thanks for coming and co-hosting with me.
Awesome to be here, David. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, a lot of people don't think about restoration until they need it. And I think that's truly the crux of the business. And your mission is, Miri, to build a fresh start culture, which ironically, inherently, internally at the company, but also it's amplified externally, because when we're in the 911 restoration first and fresh start culture, that's really what people want, is a fresh start. And me, I've been a victim of a fire, and I've had to deal with all the different parties who love to point their fingers in varying directions, when all I wanted to do was be able to fix my home and restore my family. A fresh start culture certainly would have added value to what I do. For you, how important is that fresh start culture, and how do you form one internally in your company?
So that's truly the reason why I personally wake up every morning and do what I do. I feel honored and very grateful for that industry. If you think about it, like you said, I mean, people are reaching out to us in the moments when they need us the most, right? We hear all of our phone calls are recorded, so we hear clients that are calling, and some are upset and crying, and it's such a difficult moment when their whole household is flooded, or maybe it's business and there's financial loss. So for that, this is truly what we see, right? Is the emotional aspect of it. So the main thing that we want to make sure is to show them that empathy, like, we hear you, we understand where you're at, and kind of guide them through, when such disaster happens. And we found that when you really show that empathy, when you really care, right? So when we approach every house, we treat it as if it's one of our own houses, right? If it's my mom's or dad's or one of our relatives. And I think that's key, and that's really our starting point. And when franchisees, and that's really the constant training that we provide our franchisees, from day one when they join our franchise. So that's really like the core of it on our end.
Yeah, it's amazing, in all different fields, how we make people feel is sometimes more important than what we actually deliver, whether as an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, or in the restoration business. What are some of the challenges, though, when we deal with people that are in a interfering type of emotional status, that they're not looking for ease? They actually may feel like a victim, they may feel like they're being punished, and you're under a scrutiny, because even a normal response may be taken as one that's non-empathetic, that, oh, you don't really care. And how do you overcome the fact that people's mindset may be looking for something that's missing, instead of looking for help in these processes?
So I think, again, my starting point, and that's my way of living, right? I'm a big believer that in order to make a difference, you don't have to be brilliant, you don't have to have special skills. All you have to do is truly care, right? So if you think about it, so I think that's something that either we have it or we don't. And it's something that we heavily speak about when new franchisees join us. So when we have, the first contact with that homeowner or that business owner that calls us, it's that empathy. We keep in mind that they're very stressed, right? And in some cases, that's a mom, and, she has babies at the house, and, it's their personal belongings that are ruined right now. So we heavily focus on that internally, right? When we deal with people, and patience, right? So be human, truly listen to them, be patient with them, and kind of guide them through that. I mean, we've been running into different situations, right? Some are more stressful than others. But I think the key here is if you care, right, you're going to show it. If you genuinely care about something, the other party is going to see it, and then we're going to find common ground and be able to walk through that together and give them, show them how this opportunity, to be, how does opportunity turn out to be even better than before, right? So let's say if they had a kitchen and the kitchen is ruined, so now you have a brand new kitchen, now you see why it happens, right? I'm a big believer that everything that happens to us, good or bad, has a great reason and benefits us in some way.
Yeah, that protected and promoted side of it. A lot of people don't take that mindset and don't share that with the people that are most concerned with it. And, working with Rocket Plan and understanding the varying degrees of blame, shame, and justification, being a franchise owner, and you were on the marketing side, Miri, when you started, sometimes when we don't have the right partners, it doesn't matter what culture we have. If our partners can't deliver, or the processes and systems are not aligned to effectuate what is promised, or at least meet expectations, historically in the restoration business, it's caused a lot of separation and also a lot more distress in a very distressful situation. Joe, I know you worked in the business, and that's why you created Rocket Plan. What are some of those things that you're able to do for 9/11 restoration in order to facilitate empathetic value that exceeds the expectations of the clients of 9/11 restoration franchisees?
Yeah, I can totally relate. There's nothing more rewarding but to be able to help people to bring their lives to pre-loss condition, because property damage is sudden, unexpected, and it's very traumatic experience to people going through the process. When I started with 2 employees, and I was the person taking the calls, responding to the emergencies, doing all the work, labor work, demolition, cleanup with my crew in the field. And then I was capturing all the documentation, reporting to insurance companies, property managers, owners, doing all the estimating and billing. And I was able to do that up until 20 employees, but we grew that company to over 100 with multiple branches in BC and Alberta. And then we run into challenges of capturing the documentation in the field to streamline that reporting, estimating, and billing. And what I found challenging is that field crew can do the greatest work on a job site, keeping it clean, keeping it tight and scheduled. But then if the paperwork is not in order, which is always being delayed and misplaced, it creates a lot of issues in the end and delay in dragging the claim for too long. And after we implemented 3 different software, they were all built before smartphones really became smart. So they work for the back office, but not for the field. I decided to build something that works for the people in the field to easily capture documentation and cut out massive amount of manual labor, but also remove huge stress, and being able to provide the documentation and reporting to the owners, to the adjusters, to the property managers, and make everybody happy, restore their lives to pre-loss condition a lot sooner and be more efficient, ultimately provide better working environment for the people on the ground, because nobody likes to deal with paperwork.
Well, also blame, shame, and justification is a big part of it, and both of you hold accountability high into the culture in which you guys proliferate. Miri, you've extended your career though, like Joe, probably not as far. I tease him, I call him Average Joe. He started on the grill at Dairy Queen, not speaking a lick of English. So he's come a long way. But when it comes to 9/11 restoration, you've worked all the different aspects of the business as well, just like Joe. You've worked in marketing as a CMO, you've worked in operations as a COO. Now you're the CEO. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs look for that type of journey through a company, a franchisor, or even in their own business. As far as developing the skills, the knowledge, and the desire to make it to be a CEO, what were some of the things that you would give as advice to someone that's working their way up through a successful organization like 9/11 Restoration?
I think, as I said earlier, is really you have to love what you do, right? So for me, when I wake up in the morning, and I wouldn't say for so many years, unless I truly enjoyed it, right? and be very passionate about it. So I think that's key, and that's something that we make sure that all of our internal team members have, at any position that they're at. So passion, that's a big thing, and I always laugh about it. I tell our franchisees and our clients I'm available 24/7, and I mean it, and they test me. You would get a call at midnight sometimes from someone who's freaked out or frustrated or need help, and I do my best to be there for them. So I think that's first key, is to check with ourselves if we're in the right place. Then the second thing is really to see the people, right? It's all about the people. It's all about the team members. So I wouldn't be where I am today unless I had such a great team and such a great partner working with me. And I'm so grateful for it. I think that there's can only be some of, we can accomplish when we're as individuals, and we can accomplish much more as a team. So see the people, right? It's truly, show empathy to them, listen to, to the people around you. What are they after, right? What are their goals? What are they passionate about? And how do I collaborate with them and get them there? So I think that was one of the things that I'm very passionate about, is learn about people, learn about new cultures. And for me, I think the biggest thing is to, if I was able to contribute even 0.01% as of my effort for them to achieve their goals and dreams, it means the world to me. So truly see the people, right? It's not numbers, it's not P&L. Without them, I wouldn't even be here. So I think that's truly the key for me, as if I look at my journey, as I've collaborated with hundreds of franchisees, different peoples, on behalf of headquarters. And it just starts and ends there.
And you're a tremendous leader as well. And you've had a very eclectic background in order to formulate what leadership means to you. There's very few people, when I look at their backgrounds, that have a varying degree of experiences and skill sets at the highest level in order to effectuate being a leader, to transform an organization, to build a culture. And in that eclectic background, it was interesting because, I ran one of the most notable sports agencies in the world, which probably had more of the alignment with when you were in the military police, a very scarce, competitive, although you being a woman and me being a man, it was probably even more difficult for you. But you also have some other alternative philosophies that you've utilized in your leadership to be an intelligent follower. How have you combined this eclectic background and experience? What are some of the things, maybe alternatively, beyond the obvious leadership skills that you have by earning your way up to the top at 9/11 Restoration, being a military police executive or officer, but more importantly, there's a lot of depth to your own mindset, heart set, along with that leadership handset that you've developed.
Yeah, so one of the biggest things, I guess, that I gained from being in the military police, right, is execution in terms of get things done, right? That's really the culture of it, whether if it's when you wake up in the morning or you get a task for your commander and it has to get done. So that's I'm really grateful for. And I think what I've been doing throughout the years is truly find the balance, right? Because for me, if I would have to define leadership, for me, leaders are here to develop new leaders, right? I'm not the type of person that would say I'm the boss and you have to follow my instructions. I think leadership, it's leadership through support. It's lead by example, right? It's truly sit with, whoever, works with me and truly try to, again, understand what they'd like to do, what's their career goal, right? And help them get there. So there's a lot of coaching involved in that. And I think the beauty of it and the magic starts when you combine that empathy and high level of execution, right? And that works really well, where you have someone that is so passionate and he feels that he works with someone who truly cares about him, making sure that they're growing individually, right? Because if a person doesn't grow individually, there's no way that as a team we're going to grow. And at the same time, have that discipline, right? Things need to get done at this time. So it's very family oriented, I guess, culture that we adopted. So yeah, I think that's kind of how I combine my military experience to where I am today.
And where you are today requires two things in order to get to where you want to be tomorrow or even better. And the first is to find people uh, that you can help to get to where they want to be. And I heard that in every answer in building your culture. But a lot of executives and leaders get to that position and they forget about the radical humility of asking for help, finding people like Joe Tolzmann that sit in a situation that they may want to be in and ask them for help as well. How important is it not only to elevate others to elevate yourself, but elevate yourself by asking for help?
So I always say that for me, I'm far from being perfect and I don't have all the answers. And for me, it's always a learning opportunity with whoever I speak with, right? So that's my starting point. And I tell that to my team all the time, or whether if it's franchises, I always consult. If I have an idea, I would go to the head of that department and I'll say, hey, what do you think? Right. So there's always, it's never dictate, right? And hey, this is what I want to do it. It's, I have an idea. What do you think? If it's the franchise community, for example, one of the things that I always do, we have the franchise steering committee. Every decision that I take is with their blessing, right? I mean, the challenging part is to find that common ground because sometimes, we may not see things eye to eye. But in many occasions, even if we agree to disagree, they'll say, we really appreciate it. You took the time. You didn't have to. You could have done whatever you wanted, right? But, you still took the time to consult with us. So that's what I always convey to everyone, right? You don't know everything. And I learn from everyone. Every conversation that I have with any team member or any franchisee, it's a learning experience for me. I'm a big believer on reflections, right? Whatever you get, it's in me. Also a big believer that the meaning of communication is the feedback that you get. So for me, it's always a learning experience. So, I mean, I'm always reaching out for advice. I don't know, you can see that as seeking for help. I mean, I'm a team player.
Yeah, you certainly are. And to ask for help creates that radical humility of actually knowing that you don't know, and it's okay to ask for help for that which you don't know. The last topic is, looking at your career as a single mom, working so many hours, working your way to the top to build a family culture as well as a professional culture. Um, I think a lot of people look at people like you and Joe as overnight successes, and they always forget about where we came from and what we had to do. I was hoping that we could finish with Joe. You first, talk about the importance of just grinding and doing it daily, and the investment of making that you made into yourself in order to build such a successful business. And then Mary, if you could as well add on to hopefully the enlightening statements that Joe will help us with, not only discipline, but actually work ethic.
Absolutely. Miri's story is so inspiring, and I can relate to so many things. And when I served in the military, I learned a lot about leadership, structure, teamwork, but more importantly, the discipline to do the right thing no matter how hard it is. And there's always ways to improve, and there's always ways to learn from other people, other experiences, and be there to be able to provide more value to others, because that's how we become valuable. So it's an ongoing process.
Certainly is. And Mary, just to finish up, your overnight success has taken years. How important was it to stay consistent and persistent in that pursuit of your potential, regardless of all the challenges that not only you, but so many people face every single day?
I think that's key because if you think about it, I'm referring to the external world. There's so many voices. You can't do it, don't do it. There's different opportunity here. Someone may reach out and say, I have a job offer for you. And our own voice, right? I'm not good enough. I won't be able to make it. I think in order to be where I am today, people think it's easy. It's everything but easy or fast. I think leadership starts with leading ourselves, right? And by leading ourselves, that means to kind of shut off all that voices, all the external voices, and truly listen to our inner voice, right? Where do we want to go, regardless of what everyone says? If I would have listened to other people, probably wouldn't be here today, including my close relatives, family members, siblings, parents, right? No one really thought I'll be able to make it. Which was very challenging. So to your point, I think persistence and consistency, it's truly key to that. And believe in our way and be true to our inner voice, and just great things will happen. So that really worked out for me.
It certainly did. And that inner voice is so important. I tell people all the time, be careful what you're saying to yourself. It's bad enough to look for what other people think or want for you, or what's missing or what you don't have. That's the easy one. But be careful of what you say to yourself, because you're listening. And if we don't talk the right talk to ourselves, we might listen to the things that are missing, what we don't have, or what other people want for us. And as much as we need to restore other people's lives, we need to make the investment in ourselves in order to make that investment in others and have a fresh start single time we have struggles, pains, voidages, shortages, and obstacles in our life. If you want to learn how to be a success, there's people like Miri Offir out there and Joe Tolzmann working together, collaborated in a coordinated movement to provide value, to provide other people during some of the most difficult times you'll ever face, to have a fresh start, to be protected and promoted by two great executives, Joe Tolzmann, Miri Offir. Thanks for joining me. This is David Meltzer on The Playbook.